Local recording in 3, 2, 1. Today's episode's brought to you by 1 year of Overwatch.
Drop the beat.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to High Noon Podcast, the competitive Overwatch podcast. I'm your host, The Blevins. With me, as always, is Deathblow. What's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. How are you?
Doing well, man. Doing well. We finally made it to that every Twitch chat rioters' favorite episode 69. Our next milestone will be episode 420.
Yep. We got a little while though.
And then episode 9001. Do you know why that one's good?
No.
Because it's over 9,000. Okay, I'm done. It's dumb, so I'm going to be dumb. But definitely awesome. Definitely lines up nicely with the 1 year anniversary of Overwatch's official release.
Yeah, which is mind-boggling for me, particularly because we did our 1 year anniversary like forever ago.
Yeah.
It feels like, and it just in my head, it's really been hard to separate like the podcast start date. Like I just associate it with the same time, right? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, but remember all of our fond memories of Overwatch and Only Watch and all that good stuff.
So, the beta downtime, like just the worst stretch of
the worst stretch of time where all you could do is play 1v1 versus Jeff Kaplan on Kings Row.
Yeah, I mean, it was less bad for me. But
yeah, because you had that one copy.
The one that worked. Absolutely.
The one that worked. But let's move right along. We're going to have a relatively quick episode because we do have the 1 year, but it was relatively light in terms of tournament talk. But let's move right along to what did we do last week. I'll start. As many of you who have been following the show recently know, I've been playing some Clash Royale, a lot of it, and yeah, that grind is still real. But I did get to play some Overwatch, Death, and you're very aware of that. Actually played, not only did I play Overwatch, I played competitive Overwatch. And not only did I play competitive Overwatch, it wasn't just ranked mode, it was in a scrim. And I got to scrim with your team, and that was fun.
Yeah, you got to play with one of the Overwatch contenders. More on that to come forward. One of the future Overwatch contenders, at the bare minimum. I think it's safe to say that. I mean, we signed up, so it's a fact. No one can take it away from us.
True.
But yeah, it was a little weird because you played essentially my role, right? Because our DPS wasn't there and our DPS fills were MIA. So I actually ended up going on to Tracer, which left you to play the Lucio, and then I think we threw you on Zen for a
little bit, and it was
just to try it. The team is very, very used to what I'm doing, whether it's right or whether it's wrong. They're very used to what I do when I'm on Zen, and we've actually tried out. When we've had openings, we've tried people in the support role and considered moving me to off-tank flex because my hero pool's pretty deep. But for the most part, they just have never been satisfied with any other Zenyatas that have ever played with us. So it was a tough ask to put you on him. But all in all, you did pretty well in the Lucio. I mean, I don't think we got the better of the scrim, but with a sub and somebody playing off role, that's very hard to do. But I mean, we won points. We were competitive. It wasn't a blowout. And you played 10 games in like 10 years, so it was good.
Well, it was a little bit. It was a culture shock for me. Obviously, like you said, I haven't been playing as much, and I definitely haven't been playing scrims. So just the like cohesive strategy is very different for me, and I would suggest anyone who's at all interested in playing, competitively, if you have a team or if you're looking for teams, there's definitely resources out there to find a team and just play with them. It's so much different playing with a six stack who knows what they're doing versus even if you're in a six stack going into ranked play. Like the call outs, the team cohesion is just so insane. Like the King of the Hill points where you're making the call of like, okay, we need to all go high ground, and we're not even, we captured the point, but we're not even on the point anymore. We're at high ground battling. I'm like, and like I'm just trying my best not to die, which I think is the best thing to do with Lucio, right? Is to just not die. And I tried to be on speed as much as I possibly could so that I didn't look like a noob that was 100% heal. But it just felt so, you feel so much more out of place when you're out of place, when there's a 6 stack that is used to playing with each other and you're the one man out, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't be here. And I'm like, I go like diverge for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, oh, my entire team is gone and I need to be with them. So that was a little bit of a culture shock, but I really enjoyed it. I definitely like it. It's just so much better because you feel like you earn every win you get, and you feel like you deserve every loss you get. It's not like, oh, well, something stupid happened here. Like, oh, great. It's like you really feel good about playing, win or lose.
Yeah, I almost never get to. I mean, we'd have to have an epic loss streak, which we had last week. In order for me to start getting tilted or upset about losses in any of the 6 stack teams I've been a part of, because like you said, I mean, you earn what you get. If you screwed up and you didn't win, it was your fault, and it's not like you can sit here and say, oh, it was it wasn't. There's no randoms there for it to be a problem, or there's nobody you've never worked with before that you can pin it on. I've chosen these 5 people to tie myself to.
Yep.
So there's no accountability. And actually last night we scrimmed against a lower ranked team, and we did a fun little thing where we actually completely switched roles. So our healers played DPS, our DPS played tanks, and our tanks played our healers. And we didn't even win. Like, it was like a diamond team.
Yeah.
If that, to be perfectly honest with you, they were like plat on average, though they had a lot of variance to them.
Yeah.
And we did not win the first control point when we went out there on it. And I'm just like, all right, well, now we all have a solid appreciation. Like, I'm never going to give my Tracer beef again for just about anything, because I was a nightmare. And so that was really fun and a lot of fun to do, and something that you can do, and it accomplishes more when you're in that 6 stack. You can do stuff like that, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. If you guys ever have the chance, would definitely suggest doing that. But besides that, Death, anything fun and exciting happened for you this week? Or
no, I had a little bit of a setback with the dental stuff, but I'll save you any gory details on that, and suffice it to say that it wasn't as bad as last time for sure. So, much better this time than last.
Yeah, that's always good to not be put through literal torture. But moving right along, let's jump into my favorite segment of the show.
Overwatch Today, Meme of the Week.
Yes, we have got the Overwatch Today Meme of the Week, and I've got one that came out today, and it has to do with the new Genji skin, which we'll talk about, and we'll talk about all the new skins and stuff in just a second. But it's a new Genji skin. It basically looks like the Green Power Ranger, and for those of you who listen to my favorite types of memes, it's basically just multiple I need healing zoomed in on different parts of Genji that look like Genji. So like it's like his chest, his belt, his shoulder, all look like little mini Genji faces on them. They're all zoomed in saying I need healing.
It's a very meta GIF.
It's so meta. It's like I feel like it's meta at me specifically, because Overwatch Today knows that I am going to like every single I need healing meme. So
yeah, and I think we're gonna have to get a new drop for it's gonna have to include I need healing somewhere in it.
Ooh, we could get an updated
probably
drop.
just stop saying like Overwatch Today meme of the week. It's got to be like Overwatch Today's I need healing meme of the week. Meme of the week, something like that. Like, we just got to be specific, because that's all we're going with. Except for that one time, it was like I need shielding or something in it, Reinhardt.
Yep. Oh, there was another one that was like that for the new Hanzo skin that zoomed in on the like barrels around him, and it just said I'm a trash can, I'm a trash can, I'm a trash can.
That's fair until the patch goes live, which I don't know. Were all the PTR stuff in this patch? walked in the door and we pressed record, so I don't even know
I'm
what
just gonna
actually
not
made it into
comment
this
on it because
match.
I have no idea one way or the other.
Oh, it looks like they are in. So the Hanzo buff is live. Trash can no more.
Trash can, no more. But let's talk a little bit about what we were alluding to at the top of the show and with the new skin, the Overwatch anniversary, the 1-year anniversary event. It's in the same vein as a lot of the other events. New loot boxes, a whole bunch of new skins, a whole bunch of new legendary skins, some new emotes, over 100 new items, and 3 new maps, which I thought was kind of interesting. Though, sadly, the 3 new maps are arcade
Fake
mode.
news. They're fake news.
It's
is what
fake
they
news,
are.
yeah.
But honestly, they're still really cool, and something that it's feels really weird for me to think and say it out loud, but I'm kind of excited about them, and they're arcade mode maps, which means I automatically don't care much.
Yeah.
But what they seem like to me is they're arcade mode maps that are specific to other maps in the game. So there's like an Eichenwald one, there's a Dorado, and then what is the
Temple of Anubis.
Temple of Anubis, that's right. So this is kind of akin to me to what we were hoping for when we were trying to propose possible solutions to the 2CP draw problem, where instead of going to, Ilios to decide on a best 2 out of 3, you go to a map-specific Koth map.
Yep.
Like you find a spot inside Temple of Anubis to make a Koth map, and you put it there. And this has a similar feel to me as that, and it's not going to be used that way in any way, shape, or form. But nonetheless, it feels a little bit like an idea or something I wanted to see kind of come to life, even in a, well, I'm just going to say it, in a bastardized version of it. Even though it's not quite what I wanted and what I was talking about, I want to see how they did it, because it would let me know if my idea would have been good. Like, if I really like all 3 of these maps and don't play them only because of the game mode, like, I think it would have been cool to see them do something like that. But nonetheless, I think a lot of players, obviously, I'm in the minority of people that just stay out of arcade mode and don't care for the most part. So they're a phenomenal new addition. I think anybody that liked 3v3 was probably really sick of Echo Point Antarctica at this point. So they definitely needed something. I'm still very much anxiously awaiting another new. I just want a straight up payload map. I don't want it to be hybrid. I don't want it to be. I feel like it's been. I guess Route 66 was straight up payload. Yeah. So, anyways, that was the last time. It feels like that's the next one up in the rotation to me. We've had, I think, since Route 66. I might be wrong on the timing of Ilios, but definitely Oasis.
Ilios was the first. The first one, I think. The first new map, I think.
Gotcha. But, and at the same time, what's actually up in the rotation is probably 2CP, and while I don't hate the mode that much, just for the sake of not wanting to hear people whine about it, you can go ahead and wait on giving me a new 2CP map.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm really excited about this. I actually plan to spend some time in the arcade this week with the team, just maybe in warm-ups and things like that before practice, and, just grind some loot boxes, because I don't have gold saved up, because I was just playing on 2 other accounts more than my main for the last event, and had to spend all of my gold to buy the good skins.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that I draw from this new update and the new maps. Like, I'm in the similar boat of, like, I really don't like arcade modes that much, just because they don't feel. It just feels like you're playing. Like, fake news, I think, is the best way to do it. Is like, there's some grain of at least believability or truth behind it, but, like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, and it's just a waste. But it seems like they're putting in infrastructure to be like, okay, maybe 3v3 could be a competitive mode, or maybe we're putting in the infrastructure for people to run 3v3 tournaments or something, because in addition to the new maps that are coming out, I don't know if you saw this or not, but there's a couple of new additions to the rule sets that they put in. The first of which is the I believe it's the tiebreaker mode, or I don't know what they called it, where it's like at the end of the round, instead of the timer starting, if not everyone's died, instead of the timer starting, and then if the timer runs out, it ends in a draw. There's basically a control point in the middle of the map, and it ends just like a King of the Hill map. Someone's got to capture it and win. You can't have your Symmetra. The example that Jeff Kaplan gave was you can't have your Symmetra hold up in one of the rooms with a million turrets just waiting for someone to come in, and you're never going to actually get in, so you just stay out and the time runs out and you end in a draw. That just feels bad for everyone, so they're going to make you come out. So, maybe the Torbjorn, Symmetra, and, Bastions of the world are not going to be as prevalent in these modes. And having those having games, having there be the ability to be cheese where it ends in a draw just really degrades the mode entirely, because it's like, well, we could have fun and we could play to win, but we're just going to play for the draw and just always have a Symmetra on our team. So, yeah, it's like that's just not fun at all. And then the other I guess wrinkle they added with the new maps is the I don't know what it's called, hero elimination mode or something, where like
You talking about the 1v1 mode?
No, the one it's not a mode.
Oh,
it's
I know
a
what you're talking
rule
about.
set
Yeah.
for 3v3. So basically, if you're playing in a 3v3 series, once you win with a group of heroes, you can't use those heroes anymore. So, for instance, if your team was Diva, Roadhog, Bastion, and you win, those heroes are eliminated or done, and you can't play with them anymore. And the next round has to be 3 different heroes, which I think is kind of an interesting thing. It's like it's the type of thing where like it doesn't really change gameplay all that much in the game itself, but it's the meta game or the maybe the tournament setting or the event setting where it's like, okay, well, you have to actually have a well-rounded group of 3 people who can play all the heroes or something. And I don't know if you can set it up so that like you have to win with every hero, and then it kind of feels like Hearthstone tournaments, which I think they've done pretty well. So I think,
and I remember this was kind of something that I think they got from the community, because I saw a 1v1 tournament a while back. It was a long time ago, and I barely paid much attention to it. But that was a self-imposed rule. You couldn't reuse the same hero over and over and over again. And I think I saw this was a 3v3, because 1v1 obviously
1v1
they pick
is
it for
always,
you,
yep.
right? So that was never the case, but it was in 3v3 where you couldn't use them anymore, and it was really interesting. The only thing I'll say to that is you need one more healer to make that work in a best of 5 scenario. Otherwise, your support player is going to end up on something weird. And it's probably going to have to be a soldier, and then your hit scan player doesn't get to play soldier, and it creates, it's a wrinkle. It's not like a disadvantage or a balancing problem, because both teams are subject to the same restriction, but nonetheless, I think it would be best if there was always a healing support character that you could bring a support, and if you want people to take 3v3 seriously, you should allow people to specialize in roles inside their team.
Yeah, so what you're saying basically is Doomfist is a healer, confirmed.
False. That sounds like the worst possible implementation of a character called
You heard it here
Doomfist.
first, folks. Deathblow said Doomfist is a healer, confirmed. But yeah, I think while I actually do like 3v3, and I even like 1v1 a little bit, but mostly just to blow off steam and to have fun with it, not as like a mode that I'm going to grind out and play a ton of. But if there were just like a 3v3 ladder, I think I would play it more. Just as if there was some reason to play it.
Yeah, any incentive would be
any incentive, not only to play it, but also for people to not just goof off and disconnect in the middle of games. Because when there's nothing tied behind it, if someone gets bored in the middle of a match, it's a best of 5, they just leave and there's no consequence.
Yeah.
So that's that. The only other thing I really wanted to talk about with the update is that we're finally getting an awesome Zarya legendary. So for those of you wondering when I was going to be making my triumphant return to playing Overwatch a lot more, it's right now, because I cannot go on without that Zarya skin. It is quite amazing.
It's a really good one, and to me, I think it pairs very nicely with the Genji skin, in that I think the Zarya is like the Power Rangers bad guy. Kind of looks like the evil boss that the Power Rangers are combining to their Megazord or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm completely butchering it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So my apologies to any Power Ranger fans out there, but she just feels like the bad guy in the the Power Rangers storyline that Genji fell out of. So I don't know. I really like it as well. The one thing I will say about it is I did have a teammate, and I haven't seen it, say that the golden gun looks terrible. But other than that, I mean, not everybody's got golden guns, and that's just one man's opinion. So we'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'll have to see for myself how it looks with the golden gun.
Yeah, I don't have the golden Zarya gun yet, but it's probably the next one I'm going to get.
Well, you can play until you get it, and then since that's the next one, you just quit once you hit 3K.
Yeah, exactly.
3K points.
Yep. The other one, there's a couple other ones. The Tracer skin I thought looked kind of cool. It's like a graffiti one. She's got like a hoodie and like looks like she's doing graffiti. And then there's
looks more than a little bit like the Rogue emblem, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, which is pretty sweet. And I didn't realize that until you just said it now. And I now need that Tracer skin. So awesome. Of note with Tracer is that she now has more legendary skins than non-legendary skins. Which is kind of interesting. And the Lucio skin, while I don't think it looks all that cool, it apparently, and I haven't confirmed this or not, well, I can confirm it because Jeff Kaplan said it. Yeah. It has different music for the for the things, which is I think is awesome. Like those little things, like that make the skin feel more legendary than just being like a weird zany skin. Those are the things that I think are really awesome. And those are the types of things that, like, if they ever want to make the item system more like Dota 2, those are the little types of things that you can do. It's like, oh, well, you can get the Lucio sound pack, and like I love that stuff. They just did basically a complete overhaul of the item system in Heroes of the Storm, and I think it's amazing. I would love to see them do that with Overwatch at some point and give me something to do with my stupid basic green Mei skin that I've gotten 10,000 times. Like, once you have, I'm not gonna go off on this item tangent, but like, once you have a legendary skin for the hero, why in the world would I ever want or need the common skins? Like, they're just rotting away, taking up space. But let's move right along to
It's tournament talk.
Not a ton of tournaments today, and actually no tournaments actually finished. These are really just kind of updates. Although one was supposed to finish, it just didn't due to technical difficulties. I believe it was supposed to be completely done this weekend, right?
Yeah, it should have wrapped up on Sunday, just like all the other Overwatch monthly melees that Alienware has done. Unfortunately, Comcast Nation struck ZP particularly hard this weekend.
Yeah,
and Hex being the other caster, also Comcast Nation member, so they didn't even attempt that. But yeah, it looks like we're going to be completing that on Thursday. So tomorrow, if you are watching or listening after we have released it on iTunes, so you'll have to go and check that out on Twitch, and we'll wait till it's up for it. But we talked about how crazy that tournament was likely to be. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we nailed it. We were absolutely correct.
Yeah, but before that, before we talk a little bit more about that, I just wanted to go through the Apex, a couple Apex updates. In the Group A of Apex, we still have Lunatic High undefeated at 2-0. Rogue is still 1-1, so I don't think anything actually happened there. Africa Freaks Blue 2-0. Let's see, anything else? Luxury Watch Blue also 2-0, and then Envious also at 2-0. With Meta Athena actually being 1-1 is the other notable, kind of fall there. So obviously, we're 2 rounds in. We're 2 rounds into the Apex tournament. So as you know, about 10 or 20 years left on this tournament. So it's still early to tell. Yeah. We did see Rogue get that big loss, that big first loss last week, but it's still very early on, and obviously it's still anyone's game. But
yeah, and if you are watching that tournament closely, keep an eye on Group B. I think things opened up a little bit for some of those for X6 Gaming and Kongdu Uncia, who appeared to be kind of at the bottom of the tier. Runaway is in second place in that group right now. They did lose a tank, however. Kaiser has come over and is now playing for Cloud9, if I have that correct. So there's a bit of a roster change there. They're definitely going to have to do some adjusting. I think overall they'll be fine, but it's one of those things where it only takes that one game or that one match where you have the lapse, you know, and all the Korean teams are probably, I'd say, closer on average. Like the bottom tier Korea teams are closer on average to the bottom tier NA teams than, you know, I'm saying this completely wrong, but there's a close gap between the bottom and top tier of teams over in Korea. And it takes just a little bit to allow them to squeeze in, win a round they shouldn't have, and you know, make their way into the finals. So if you're watching that closely, Africa Freaks Blue seems, you know, pretty well set to clinch that one, but that number 2 spot in that group seems very up for grabs to me.
Yeah, and I mean, even just having played with your team, like if you think about it, like one player change can make a huge difference for a team. Like I could tell that the other team that we played against could tell that I was the weakest link on the team, especially when I was Zenyatta, because I mean they should be focusing the Zenyatta anyway, but like I was out of position and like they could tell I was just not handling anything. So like the second I would go out, it was like 3 or 4 people just boom 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 going after me. I couldn't get a good angle, I couldn't get anything off. And I'm like, I need to just swap here. And, you know, especially when you amplify up the skill to the, you know, you basically turn it up to max, like you're going to see that, you know, those flaws get amplified as well if there's any sort of flaw in the team. So definitely, you know, any type of change, roster shakeup, or, you know, off day is just going to get exposed, I think, more so than you'd ever imagine playing like having an off day on the ladder.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so like we mentioned also, the Alienware Monthly Melee, like we mentioned, would have finished last weekend, but they had some technical difficulties. I was watching it, and it's like, you know, you can kind of get through it. No, you could not watch this. It was unwatchable, sadly.
Not at the end, and honestly at the beginning of day 2, both were pretty particularly bad. However, on the overall, you know, the quality of play was just fine. I don't want it to be like there was an issue there. And why isn't the bracket loading? It's making it very difficult to know exactly where they're at here. Well, anyways, it looks like, and I don't know that you have the list of who's left.
I have the top 4. I have the top 4.
Okay, you do? All right, well, why don't you give those?
Yeah, so the top 4 that made it into the, I guess, the playoffs out of the groups were Liquid, Yikes, Selfless, and CLG. So notably, LG Evil not in that top 4.
They weren't in the top 4, but they did advance into day 2. They just went straight into the lower bracket, so I think they carried a loss with them into the day.
Okay.
So they were still alive going in, and man, it got really bad at the end, so I didn't get to watch it. And I'm really appalled that the bracket is blank right now. It's making me look bad.
on Gosu, yeah.
But LG Evil did end up falling to Selfless towards the end of the lower bracket, so LG Evil has been eliminated, and I believe we're looking at Selfless versus CLG in the lower bracket finals, and the winner of that then goes on to play against Yikes, who was the upper bracket finalist. Made it all the way through, did not suffer a loss at any point. Did they have one in the group stages? They did have a loss in the group stages. So they're sitting on 1 loss overall for the entire tournament so far. Yeah. And we talked about this. They had exactly 1 event so far, so they weren't one of the ones we felt really confident in, but we talked about going into this event. Any one of the 8 teams had a very serious chance. Tempo, with Too Easy on the roster, has looked really, really strong. Envision brought in a ringer that I don't think was normally on their team, was probably the best player on their team throughout the course of the event. So that really helped bring them up quite a bit, if I'm remembering that storyline correctly. So this was a phenomenal tournament. Anytime you're looking at a group stage where Liquid and Yikes outplayed LG Evil and won a higher seeding into the final bracket,
Yeah.
and Immortals was your third seed as well. Like LG Evil and Immortals were the third seeds from each group.
Yeah.
What happened? Like that's insane.
Right. 3 weeks ago we're saying these are the potentially the teams that can take down Envious and go to Korea, and it's like all of a sudden what the fuck?
Right. It just not even close. And we saw it was great to see Liquid continue to play really, really well. I think they opened with just a really like rusty first half of the first map or something like that. And I was just like, oh no, but they definitely turned it around. Obviously able to come out on top of the group. And Yikes has really, really been just throwing Farrah Mercy at everybody all the time, 100% of the time, and winning as a result of it. So, formerly the Denial Squad here, obviously a bit of a dark horse going into the tournament. But like we said before this event started, they had their last tournament where they played very, very well. And I was curious to see if it was going to carry over and how things were going to go for them. And it obviously very, very well, as they're in a solid position. They'll be up a game when they finally do get to the finals, and they're already 1-0 in the finals, even though we don't know who they're playing against yet. So clearly the favorites at this point to take home the title here for the last Overwatch monthly melee. And I, for one, look forward to seeing ZP and Hex continue that next week, and we will make sure to discuss it, as well as a reminder next week we do have the Take TV, I believe it is. There's the Memorial Day weekend has a fairly big tournament. I'm not 100% sure that it is Take TV, though I do think so.
Yeah.
So that'll be very exciting to see that kick off as well. So keep an eye out for that. Next week should be a fairly chock full episode of things for us to discuss.
Yeah, for sure. And, a couple of notes from this one is like, we've seen, it's nice to see Liquid is starting to mellow off a little bit in terms of their streakiness. Like, we haven't really seen too much of the just catastrophic downturns that Liquid tends to have in these tournaments. Like, by now we'd usually see them not even making a playoff bid and just being dead last and then going away for a little bit and then coming back in second or third placing a tournament. But we're seeing a little bit more of a consistency play from Liquid. LG Evil, not the untouchable, monsters that they once were when they were hammers, and even a little bit after LG Evil. Still obviously a contender. Tempo, being in kind of that, tier 2 status for NA, I would say, tier 2, tier 3. They did make it in to the tournament via the qualifier, which I'm sure is no small feat. And then, like you said, it's interesting. We've talked about CLG in the past. It's like they just seem to be going on an upward trajectory, man. Like they've got the infrastructure in place, they've got the teamwork and the team infrastructure in place. So,
and they got Shake.
Yeah.
They shook up their roster a little bit, and all of a sudden they seem to be playing very well. All bad puns aside, though, you can see in this event
run away with it.
They can't. Somebody else already is. That's why they had to shake things up, since they couldn't run away with it. But,
oh god.
Nonetheless, like I said, bad puns aside, you can't bring me back to puns. I like.
Hey, at least I didn't talk
I'll
about
never stop.
Maidong, okay?
It was episode 69, so we might as well bring it up. Right?
Yeah, no. So, we at least got through one episode without me talking about Maidong. Oh, wait.
And a correction, it looks like the Overwatch Rumble is the tournament coming up this Memorial Day weekend. Not the Take TV. I don't have a date for that.
Okay.
Gosu doesn't have that listed, and that's where I get my information when I only have minimal time and need to be coherently, completing sentences on the podcast too. It's a big weekend coming up. Obviously, we've got starting Thursday, and then I think it is Friday here, right? It's the 26th that starts. Yep. So Friday, Saturday, and at least Sunday. Might even stretch over into Monday, considering the long weekend. Might as well take advantage of it, as far as I'm considered. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see exactly who comes out of those tournaments as champions there. Obviously, it will, help really shake things up going into what's a really exciting time before I think the next thing we're about to talk about here. We got to move segments before we talk?
Yeah, we will, we'll move through in just a second, but like we mentioned last week, like, this is one of the, I think, coolest tournaments that we've seen. It's one of the first times, at least in NA, where it's like not, okay, this team's got first, this team's got second, let's talk about third. It's like, it's still basically anyone's game, which is pretty awesome. So.
Yeah, there's no tier 3 right now as far as I can see it. Like all the teams that are getting invited to these events are squarely in tier 2. They all have an opportunity and a chance to be able to make a push. And the tier 1 teams, as I would put them, are a couple Korean teams, Rogue and Envy, and that's about it. So those are the ones that would be considered favorites if they were entered into a tournament like a LAN or online with equal ping.
Right.
And they're not here right now. So that leaves for some very competitive Overwatch. And for the time, as much as I love watching both of those teams play, I'm going to enjoy what we have while we have it, because things seem to be moving fast here. I don't know. I'm excited about this Contenders business.
Yeah, I mean, we're finally at a point where we have teams that are good enough where they're playing good Overwatch and are also at a similar level, which has not really been the case in a while. It's either been we've got teams that are just blowing teams out of the water, or we have teams that are of equal level, but they're playing sloppy, and it's almost like, I don't really want to watch this. I want to watch high-level Overwatch where the teams are at a similar level, and that's what we're seeing, which is pretty awesome. But let's move right along to...
let's break it down!
And we'll break it down. We got a pretty awesome and exciting announcement that is, at the very least, somewhat maybe related to Overwatch League a little bit.
So I haven't been able to go really in depth about the tournament rules and all that stuff yet. All I've had time to do was make sure my team was available, sign us up for it, and go. But the Overwatch Contenders, by all appearances, and from what I've been told, this is secondhand information. I don't want to present it like I know this to be fact. This is the feeder. This is the developmental league that will lead into Overwatch League. I do believe this will continue. I don't think this is a one-time event from what I'm told. This will be something that recurs over and over again. But it is a completely open qualifier tournament that's going to be taking place. The qualifiers will be on June 3rd and June 4th. I will be participating in both of them. I highly doubt I will make it on stream, but nonetheless, if we do, I'm sure I will tweet about it on the High Noon podcast page. So definitely keep an eye on that. We do have a rival already, obviously. Team Omnic Lab doesn't just get to sneak in there and, literally appear on the same page. When you look at the team rosters as my teams, we're right there, which is funny because we've played against each other. It's got to be at least 5 or 6 times now in comp over the last 2 months, which is just insane to be this random team, like this other podcast. As soon as we join, everybody freaks out. You know what I mean? It's just super, super funny.
This tournament is an official Blizzard event. It's not just a random other tournament. This is through Blizzard officially.
Yes, you log in with your Battle.net account to register. You have to have battle tags for your entire team, things like that. It was a very painless sign-up process. So if you have a group of 6, even if you don't call yourself a team and you're free on one of those days, go sign up. Help this event just get bigger and be more fun for people and everybody across the board. You'll be entered in the same tournament as Immortals, as LG Evil, as all these teams. And while that might sound miserable, only a couple teams are going to be unlucky enough to face them early. And plenty of the big teams have automatic berths into the next round. They don't even need to participate in this. There's definitely a handful of teams that are like that. So it's not going to be too jam-packed full of pro players. From what I'm seeing, there's plenty of teams ranked, down into plat, things like that. So don't think the competition's going to be too fierce. I mean, you'll get to a point where it becomes that if you're down there, but there's no reason to think you can't come in, get a little bit of tournament experience. And listen, don't be upset about it. I can't tell you how terrible my first 2 tournaments that I entered went for us. I mean, just super bad. After Fnatic beat us the one time, it was double elimination, so we won the first round, got crushed by Fnatic, and then lost to some team called Kevin's Friends or something like that, because we were just so demoralized from how bad Fnatic went. You expect to lose at some point. Expect it not to be close when it happens, but nonetheless, there's no reason you can't learn something from it. You can't have a good time and enjoy it. And no matter when, no matter how long you wait, okay, it's going to be bad when you decide to enter tournaments. So get it out of the way early.
Yeah, it's definitely the type of thing where besides like being good at the game, the most important thing you can do for tournaments is just play in them and get used to the tournament setting, get used to how the cadence of the tournament is. Like, are you waiting for a long time? Are you playing constantly? Like, you don't want to have to go in and worry about the little stuff of like, oh, we need to make sure our team's in a lobby or something, or we need to talk to the admin and stuff. Like, that stuff is the stuff when you start doing tournaments and anything that get you all nervous and keep you from focusing on what's most important. That's the game. But when you've done, 100 Magic the Gathering Grand Prix and you know exactly how it is, and you can stroll in 5 minutes before your round and just sit down and play and not have to worry about all the other stuff because you know what's going on, that's when you really hit your stride. And that just comes from playing in tons of tournaments. So definitely 100% suggest go do that. If I had a team, I would definitely, try to play in this. This is the first one as well, so it's the kind of cool to be like, yeah, this is the very first Overwatch Contenders. Maybe they don't have this next year. Maybe it morphs into something else, or maybe they do. Maybe they do it a little bit differently. But this is the chance to be part of the very first one. If this were the NBA or something, it's like, yeah, we're having open teams, and like the Heat are playing and the Cavaliers are playing in this tournament, but any 5 people can show up and play in this tournament. Like, you best believe I would be fielding a team of 5 to go play in this like NBA Contenders league. Like, I don't care at all. I would definitely be doing that because like it's kind of cool. Like, oh, I can play against LeBron James and like get completely destroyed and then ask for his autograph after. Like, that's kind of cool. Even if you have no intention of winning, although I would win that tournament. But definitely cool. I might, get super good and then kick one of Deathblow's players off the team and then join the team. But
if you can ever get your group of friends to get on board with it, I think you've got a solid start to a 6-man comp, and you've got resources in me and my team to scrim against. And I'm not going to not share strategies with you guys and tell you how we do things. It wouldn't be like that. So I think we could give you a decent leg up, and we're always looking for.
We could be the sister squad.
Yeah, you could be our B team. It'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be no spaghetti allowed red, and we could be no spaghetti allowed blue. There you go.
Blue spaghetti sounds terrible.
It does. That's why it's not allowed.
Yeah, well, that's a fair point.
But yeah, definitely. If any of you guys are playing, any listeners or fans or patrons are playing in a tournament, or if you have any questions about it, or if you're looking for players, maybe of fellow High Noon Podcast, people, like, definitely let me know. Like, people message me all the time. I've got a ton of friends on Battle.net. They're like, hey, I want to play, or like, I want to play in a tournament. Like, do you have any tips or anything? Like, if you ever have any questions, tweet at us, message us on Discord, message us on Battle.net, all that good stuff. Like, I'm more than happy to answer those questions, and if I have the resources to help you out, I definitely will, and I'm sure Deathblow will as well.
And if you got a team and you think you can take on my team in a scrim, we would be more than happy to scrim against you. Like, I will do anything I can to make my team accessible to you guys who listen to the show and want to come on, play against us. You'd have some insight into what we're talking about when we talk about my team, things like that. So, if you wanted to fill, I can't promise that, obviously, because we have people that we use, and you always want to repeat people. Like, normally we wouldn't even have brought the Blevins in, but everybody we normally use wasn't there, and he happened to respond to me when I messaged him.
I was the last ditch effort.
But I mean, if you're anywhere near Diamond to high plat, we will scrim down. We might get a little memey with our compositions and try some things we wouldn't normally do to get some practice in. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still viable and valuable practice. Scrimming up is a great way to get better. It's not always the best thing to scrim down for that sake, but as long as you only do it on occasion, it's not bad. So let us know. We're more than happy to involve you guys in any way. And like Blevin said, I want to get into coaching in some capacity.
Yeah.
So never feel like if you have a question about six stack strategy, forming a comp team, what you need to work on, I will open our books, tell you what we do with our practice time, everything like that. I will help you in any way I possibly can. And if you have a team already established and are looking for a coach, let me know. And if it fits my schedule, I'm happy to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And I can tell like the bug is I'm gonna get the Overwatch bug again. So I might be looking to play more competitively, get my base of players in, see if they want to play, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, definitely let us know, if you guys are going into the Overwatch contenders or signing up, let us know, how it goes. Like I want to hear some stories about how you guys played, and I want to be able to go back and have an episode where we talk about like, oh yeah, so bad in round 6 we played against Cloud9, and we took 2 maps, and then this, that, and the other thing. Like those are the fun stories, where it's like, we played against the pro team, we made a really good run, and we played against a pro team, they beat us, and then we went on and finished in top 64 or whatever. But those
There's
are
a reason.
fun stories.
There's a reason I still bring up my winning record against Grouchy Desperados and ranked on, because it's incredibly fun and it's really cool to compete against teams of that level. No matter how you do, it's a frame of reference against teams and rosters that everybody who follows the game knows. When I say I beat, Beta Cloud9, everybody knows that meant I was dodging Reaver's bullets on Widowmaker. Terrifying. Things like that. So by all means, let us know. I want to follow all the teams of everybody I know, and that if you're entering the event and you listen to the show, we want to know about it. So tweet at us at High Noon Podcast. Let us know what your team name is, and we will keep track of you. And maybe we'll do a synopsis of all the listener teams and how everybody did after the fact, depending on the turnout and response we get from that. So
yeah, 100%. So let us know. But let's start to wrap things up a little bit. Like I said before, a little bit of a shorter episode today, but we do have a little bit of housekeeping, Death. We got a new iTunes review.
We do, yes. And okay, I didn't close it. Good on me. So this is a 5-star review from Dan's Coast, as well worth listening through audio issues. And as a side note, obviously the review is going to be about audio issues, but I believe they're wrapped up at this point. They should be pretty well, in the clear. We've been doing episode by episode, we've been doing audio checks, and I, if there's a continuing problem from here forward, please be specific about episode number, timestamp, things like that, so we can try to identify what the problem was and make sure that it never happens again. But the review says, great podcast, even though the volume levels often fluctuate to extremes. If you're listening through in-ear phones, it might be rough. Regardless, this is a great place to hear Overwatch competitive news, especially if, like me, you aren't always able to look for this information. I've learned a lot and been able to get into the esports side of the game I already love. Keep up the great work, but also for the love of my ears, figure out volume. So if it's just a matter of volume, I do think we've already got that wrapped up, like I said, and be specific going forward if you have any instances where it's a problem. Thank you.
Yeah, so huge thanks for that iTunes review, guys. I know we say this every week, but it's because it's of the utmost importance. If you haven't left an iTunes review, really appreciate it if you do. Best way to help out the podcast, get us the exposure on iTunes and get us up in those Overwatch ratings. And I just always love hearing the feedback, good, bad, or otherwise. Like, we've heard a ton of stories of people who are like, yeah, I don't really follow esports, but you guys give us that little synopsis of what's going on in esports, so we can care about Cloud9. I never watch a tournament, but I root for Cloud9 because you guys talk about Cloud9, and I maybe tuned into an Overwatch monthly melee once, and I saw them like, oh, I want to root for Cloud9. Really, at the end of the day, that's what we're here for. We want to promote Overwatch esports. We want to promote esports because Death and I are a big sports fan. Death is a huge sports fan. I'm a mild sports fan comparatively, traditional sports. But, getting that feeling and that emotion and that level of seriousness to esports, at least from my end, that's what I'm looking to do. Like, I want people to care about CLG, the team, not just the players, not just for Overwatch. I want people to be able to buy the apparel, to follow the team across games and care about how CLG does. Maybe it's because they're located in your area. Maybe it's because your favorite player plays for that team. Maybe it's because you've just followed them forever and we talk about them all the time and I wear a CLG hat from time to time. Whatever the reason is, I want people to have a reason to care about teams, not just Overwatch necessarily, not just CSGO, not just League of Legends. Like, I want people to care about the esports organizations and the teams because they're your team.
And from my end, it's really important to me that as many people as humanly possible hate the New England Patriots Overwatch team before they ever do anything. So please, if you hate them with a fiery passion already, simply because Robert Kraft's going to buy them, tweet at me and let me know at DeathblowD3ATHBL0W.
I want to see literal Tom Brady start playing Overwatch for the team.
I can't wait, because then I want to play against him and kill him and spawn camp him forever until he quits and never plays again.
He's probably already very good at the game.
I don't care. He's not. There's no way he's better than me. I refuse to believe it with how much time he has to spend on football. There's no possible. He hasn't even eaten a straw. He doesn't have time to eat strawberries. He's never eaten a strawberry in his life. That's the low level of human being that we're dealing with here. Okay. So yeah.
I'm not even going to go into that, but that's going to be the show, guys. Like I said, short one today, but I think we got a lot of good content out of it. Big stuff happening in Overwatch right now, in Overwatch esports. We got a lot on the horizon with Memorial Day coming up in the U.S. We've got Overwatch Contenders, which is really cool. The 1-year anniversary of Overwatch is a huge milestone. The event seems really sweet. The skins are awesome. I'm going to be playing more. I think you guys should be playing more. Death, anything?
I'm going to be playing arcade. That's how crazy of a world Overwatch has become. Is as soon as we're done here, I'm logging in and I'm playing arcade mode. I don't even know how to respond to that. Yeah, I'm the one that said it.
That's like you going in and logging into Hearthstone and playing a tavern brawl.
Right? Why would anyone do that? They even give you a pack. Pass.
Yeah, I do pass a lot of the time.
Keep your stupid pack, Blizzard.
But. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on. Any last minute, any last second stuff, shout outs or otherwise?
No, if you do plan to keep track of my team or pay any attention whatsoever, just so you know, we are not Team High Noon Podcast. We are Team No Spaghetti Allowed. There's not much of a story behind it, and it's pretty stupid, so I'll save it for another time. But nonetheless, that's the team you're looking for, Team No Spaghetti Allowed. And I'm sure you can find us in the pairings facing Team Omniclab round 1, because that just seems like the only possible outcome for this event. Yeah. Just be one of us knocking each other out. Very, very.
Let me put it to you this way, and this will be a short side note for our short magic story of the day at the end of the show. Went to Grand Prix Providence, which was a team tournament at the time. I think there were 800 or so teams, and first round we played against the only team in the world that we practiced with. So just keep that for reference of the chance of you playing Team Omniclab, almost 100%.
Yeah, I've already talked to iPlayGames about it. We're both relatively positive that's exactly what's going to happen. So we're ready for it. We hope you guys are ready for it. And nonetheless, I guess A. Smith pointed out in chat that Take TV will actually overlap with the Overwatch Contenders. So given who our audience is and what you guys care about if you're listening to the show, no pressure, obviously. By all means, feel free to watch Take TV and update me on how it's going, because I'm going to be busy.
Playing and also watching. I mean, I'm going to be watching the Overwatch Contenders, which of note is going to be on MLG, the MLG channel, and through MLG TV. That's kind of the whole new partnership with that. So
expect anything Overwatch League related, even tangentially, to show up with MLG branded. Which
I think is awesome. Like, I'm glad that they're going to start off the brand and start building it there. Like, I'm all for that, 100%. But guys, that's gonna be the show today. Thank you guys, everyone, for listening. Thanks to all the patrons. Thanks to all the new iTunes reviews and all that good stuff. Guys, you can always check out all the links and all the good stuff everywhere to find us at highnoonpodcast.com. Twitter, Facebook, iTunes, YouTube, all that stuff is High Noon Podcast. And all of our links, our personal host links, are on highnoonpodcast.com as well. Also, huge thanks to Matt Chirino for bringing us our SoundCloud. So you can thank Matt Chirino for hearing us on SoundCloud for the SoundCloud listeners. And a huge thanks to Adam Hoek, who put together the music, which you're about to hear in about 2 seconds. But for Deathblow, guys, I am the Blevins. And remember, it's high noon.
Got his boots and he put on his hat. He threw the coin away that same day. It's in his past and he's not looking back. He says, finding mine now guides my way. He's not good, but he sure ain't bad.
again, guys, we forgot to mention it, but we're going to be pushing it. We're going to be making a big Clash Royale announcement next week, and I know a lot of you guys don't care about it, but I do, so okay, bye! Woo! Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Good episode, in and out, in just about 45.